Welcome back. We're working on the character's head, and in this lesson we're going to be blocking out the shape of the nose by extruding it out and then adding some resolution that starts to form the upper part of the mouth. And I went back in and made a few little adjustments around his brow area here. Just looking at the artwork, I saw that his eyes actually came up a little bit higher here. So I pulled some of these points up just to follow along with that a little bit more closely. So you may want to do that if you're following along with this character. It was these points right here. Basically grabbed them and pulled them up. That opened up the area around the upper lid here, and then I was able to come in and grab a couple of these points and push them back in just to form a little bit tighter crease along the upper eyelid. Okay, so let's get started with the nose, and I'm going to come back here to 1 on the keyboard, and we're going to need a little bit more resolution to work with along here. Right now we've just got this one kind of large face here and a couple areas right up here on the upper part of the nose that we can use, but we really need a little bit more to get things started. This is going to be the bottom of his nose right here. So let's go ahead and insert a couple edge loops. We're going to need probably 2 across here. So I sort of space them out fairly evenly. We can come back and make a few adjustments here. And then we're going to need one that goes up and over the top. And we can go ahead and just run it all the way up and over the top, and then come back here and collapse some of these in the back because we're getting a little bit more resolution down here around the neck that we don't really need. And we can come back and do this a little later when we've actually merged the character together. Okay, so we've got a good amount of resolution now to work with for extruding the nose out. Let's come in here and select the faces. And I think I'm going to stop it. We can go ahead and grab these 2 right here where it sort of pinches in at the upper part of the brow. And then let's go ahead and extrude that. Let's come into world space and just go ahead and pull that forward. And he does have a large nose. You can see it's probably looking a little bit too large right now, so we're going to have to do a little bit of shaping. If you hit 3 on the keyboard, it's going to look very awkward right now because we have those faces on the inside here. So we can go ahead and just delete these faces. It will kind of help us as far as shaping it. So let's make sure we come in here and take care of all of those. And we can check on the inside to make sure they're all deleted. They are. Okay, so he's got kind of a heavy ridge just running down the front of the nose, which we would expect. Okay, so let's begin shaping it. I'm going to come into my side view here and begin pulling some of these vertices out. And we can pull some of these up here. You can already see we need some more resolution down here on the lip area. So I'm actually going to keep this one down here. We're going to need another line coming underneath the nose here to shape that area. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this out. And I'm going to come back to 1 on my keyboard to make sure we're not pulling things out and distorting them too much. I've got an area right here that I already pulled out a little too far. Okay, and then we've got this area that's still sitting back here where the eyes are at. So let's address this area right now. So right here, this is sort of the top part of the nose that we're going to want to blend in with his brow. And what we can do for this is, let's grab a couple of these points right here and pull them out and up. Now we can kind of see that connection right there. Right now his brow is coming to a point here, and this actually should be pushed in. So this is where the brow is coming together. We want to kind of have that coming in, and we can sort of pull these out a little bit more, push them in. We are going to need a little bit more resolution up here to create this area along the brow that's sort of bulging out. So we can see this kind of flat area right here across the brow, and we're going to need some more geometry going up the side of the nose to form his nostril area. Let's go ahead and just drop an edge loop here. So that went up and over where it needed to. And then we can add another line of resolution here. So I'm going to put it about halfway between these two edge loops. And that's going to give us a nice kind of crisp area and plenty of resolution to work with on the nose right here. Okay, so we still got this little area right here. It's not a big concern right now. We can sort of come back and address that in a moment. Let's just pull some of these points out here, and we can actually take this edge right here that's gotten a little flat, sort of pull these points out, kind of round out the nose. Same thing here. I'm going to pull them both forward, round that out. And this point is sticking out just a little far. Okay, you can see this kind of extreme point we've got here. That tells us we need some more resolution coming around the nose. And we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, I'm going to hit 3 on the keyboard and just kind of preview what it's going to look like. Let's come to our side view. And it's starting to shape up quite nice. His nose travels up a little bit higher than what I have here in the drawing. Make a few little adjustments here as far as pulling his nose up. But I don't think I'm going to take it all the way up to this point where it's in the drawing. I think I'll bring it out to right about here and then pull some of these areas out as well. And I'm just kind of smoothing out the edge flow right here. Pull this point out a little bit more. Okay. And then we can start taking a couple of these points here and pushing it back. And we're going to make another extrusion right here for the nostril area. Take this and pull it up. It's the bottom of the nose there. We can pull this one out a little bit now. Okay, let's come out here to our front view. Take a look at it. So it's still a little boxy compared to the drawing. He's kind of got that round area on his nose that we don't quite have yet. It's still very boxy. So let's take some of these points here and start pushing them in. So this is going to narrow out the nose a little bit. And we don't want it coming to a point here. We actually want a bridge on the top of the nose. And let's start defining that by pulling some of these points forward. There we go. So we can see that starting to form across the bridge there. And if you want to kind of shape it and kind of pull out this area right here, you can. Okay, so I'm going to take some of these areas and push them in a little bit. Narrow out the nose. Okay, so you can see it's starting to shape now and get that sort of bulbous area down here on the tip of the nose. Okay, so we still need a little bit more resolution. And we're going to need it running actually all the way across here. Let's go ahead and drop in an edge loop. going to go about halfway between those existing edge loops there. And come back to 3 on the keyboard. And let's go to our side view again. And now we've got enough to work with here to start forming the rest of the shapes here on the tip of the nose. So I'm just starting to pre-shape this area that we're going to extrude out for his nostrils. Okay, and this is pretty close here. We could pull this up a little bit higher. And we're almost on the money here as far as the drawing. So right about there, here. Okay, we might need another line of resolution going across the top of the nose. Let's come out here and check it. Okay, so his nose is still kind of coming to points out here. I'm going to kind of take some of these areas, pull them out a little bit just to round it, and then grab a couple of these and we can kind of push them back in. So that's going to start to round out the shape of the nose there in the front. And we can do the same thing down here, just to round it out a little bit more. There we go. And it's a little flat on the bottom still. Let's pull a couple of these points up. And it's going to look different once we start extruding the nostril area out. It will change a little bit. And a couple of these points I think can come up. It's really starting to round out now. Pull this down. Okay. So we definitely need some more resolution right here, which we're going to get to when we start modeling the mouth. We'll add some more resolution around there. Okay, so we still just a little bit square here on the bottom. I'm going to grab a couple of these points right here, just deselecting on the back and kind of rounding out his nose here. So that's looking a little better there. And right here in the middle. Okay, so pretty happy with that. We can kind of see that they are kind of missing some resolution in here, especially right here. So we're going to have to draw in another edge loop to get that working. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw one across the bottom, and it's going to create a couple triangles, and we'll come back and just deal with that in a moment. So I'm going to drop one right there. Now that I have that in there, I can probably take some of these and sort of relax them down a little bit. There we go. Let's check our profile here, make sure. Okay, it's gotten a little large. Let's go ahead and kind of pull some of these back just a little bit. Okay, raise that up and bring this down. Okay, starting to form the front of the cheek here. Okay, and then let's kind of address this little area right in here. Let's round that out a little bit more. So I'm getting an edge flow there that's working. And I can pull these up just a little bit higher now. Okay, so he's got quite an extreme angle here. Let's pull this one up. So here's our triangle that we've got. And I'm going to go ahead and take this point up to here. And let's address that triangle right there. We can just take it and route it down here to the mouth. Okay. And then go ahead and delete that edge. All right, so that quads everything out again, and we've got enough resolution up here to work with. The last thing I'm going to do is just kind of shape this edge that we dropped in here just by pushing them back a little bit. It's going to round them out a little. Just kind of spacing these out here a little bit more. Okay. All right, so this separated just a little bit. I'm going to push that back. There we go. Okay, so with that done, pull these points up just a little bit higher. I think if we grab this one's really going over the top of the nose, and it's going to look a little funny if we grab that and extrude that out. Okay, so let's grab, I'm going to bring this forward just to round it out a little. Let's grab these two faces here and go ahead and extrude that. Come into world space, pull that out, and we'll probably do a couple extrusions here. So I'm scaling this down. You can see that there, and pushing it back. And it's fine if this penetrates the cheek right there. We actually want it to. Okay, and we'll go ahead and extrude one more time. World space, and pull that out and scale it down and push it back. Okay, this is where you can kind of come in and sort of create the look that you want. The character's nostrils in the drawing actually come up quite high, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just kind of leave mine like this and shape a couple areas out. Maybe bring them forward like this. I pull this area up a little bit more. Okay. And I'm just pulling these forward a little bit, sort of making room for where our nostril is going to be. We have to extrude that up. And right now we don't have quite enough room for that. There we go. So I'm just kind of pushing a couple of these points back. Okay. Actually, let's go ahead and just pre-shape this a little bit more. That's going to leave kind of a wide gap right there. So I'm going to kind of push these together. Same thing here. You bring that up just a little bit more, and these points can come back a little bit tighter. Okay, so that gives us a little bit more room here for our nostril. Let's go ahead and select the faces and extrude that. Come into world space and scale it in uniformly. Okay, and it's kind of coming up a little bit here because of the angle we've got. I'm going to extrude again, come to world space and pull it up in Y. And I'm also going to kind of angle it in a little bit, and then it needs to be tapered down. Okay, so you can see that starting to go up there. And we probably need to bring it down just a little bit. We need to sort of have this edge loop right here to hold the form a little better. We don't want it down like this though. That'll create a hard edge. So I'm just going to pull it up a little bit, in a little bit more, and this will be the last extrude we do for the nostril. So pulling that up, pushing it in a little bit, and scaling it down. Okay. And we can go ahead and delete those faces. We don't need them anymore. So I've got a little bit of a angle right here just to deal with. So I'm going to grab these points and pull them back up. Create a little bit more thickness right here that we need. Okay. And if you want to round this out just a little bit more, you can kind of pulse these forward. Okay, so let's hit 3 on the keyboard. Take a look at that. I turn wireframe off on shaded so we can look at it a little bit better. So this is a little bit soft right here and probably pulled out just a little bit too I'm going to take a couple of these points and just kind of move them back in, down a little bit. And we're going to start working on this area back here, the area behind this extrusion that we made, and creating the smile line coming down into our mouth. And we'll probably save that for the next lesson. Let's just come back here and take a kind of final look at the nose here, see if we need to address anything. Mine's gotten a little bit narrow here at the top, so I'm going to just come in here, grab a couple of these points, and pull them in towards the eye. Just got a little too narrow through here. Okay. And it's starting to look a little better now. All right, and I'm going to just pull a couple of these points out. Okay. All right, so that's looking pretty good. In the next lesson, we'll come back, address this area that we extruded on the side of the nose. It's collapsing a little bit too much on mine, but once we start getting the resolution that's coming from that area down along the smile line and starting to create the area for the mouth, this area should start to look a little bit better and fit in there a little bit more naturally. Okay, I noticed I've got these lines right here that are needing a little bit of attention, so I'm going to kind of clean these up offline here. Make sure you go and check your character. If you've got lines that are coming in too close together, it's going to create areas like this where there's unwanted wrinkles or lumps. So just go around your character, space out the distance between those edge loops so you don't have any lumps. Straighten up any of the lines, clean those up, and we'll come back in the next lesson and begin working on the smile line and shaping the mouth.